This is day 11 of the 30-day Excel challenge. So let's talk about pivot tables today. And this is actually one of the skills that can make you look like an Excel genius in your workplace. If you understand pivot tables, then your team will look at you as the Excel expert. That's how important pivot tables are. So a pivot table takes a data set and organizes it into a clean summary. So it does this by aggregating or grouping data together so that you can easily see things like the total sum inside each group, how many items are in each category, and the lowest and highest values inside a group, and so on and so forth. So let me walk you through an example. Let's imagine you've invited your friends to watch a movie, and each one of them have to vote for a movie under the genre they like most. So all your friends have voted, but when you look at it, it's not immediately obvious which genre has the most votes. So if you turn this into a pivot table, what you're going to see is that we can actually summarize very quickly where the votes actually went to. If you notice, comedy actually got the most votes, and it got 5 compared to about 2 for action, 2 for drama, and 2 for sci-fi. And what makes pivot tables great is that it's actually not too hard to make. They're very simple to create. It only takes a few clicks to create a pivot table, and you can immediately see the totals or aggregates you want. So how do you create one? So let's say you have this data set. What we need to do is we need to summarize the total sales we've made by product, by category, and let's say by month. So we'll create the pivot table by selecting the entire data set, and then you're going to go to Insert tab. And then you're going to see pivot tables here. So if I was to click on the drop down here, you can click on table or range. And then just make sure that new worksheet is selected and then click OK. So now it actually creates a new page we can create our pivot table in. So let me just zoom in a little bit. So once you're in this sheet, you're going to notice that the pivot table fields are on this side here. So let me just walk you through what each of these do. So of course, the pivot table fields. So this has your list of columns from your data set. So if you notice, you see dates, you see product, category, sales, quantity sold. All of this is from our data set from our example. If you do have a lot of them, you can actually type the name of the field into the search bar. So let's say, for example, if I had sales, as you can see, it's showing the sales field. If I type quantity sold, it does that too. And if you notice at the bottom, we have 4 different boxes. So I'm actually going to look at the rows box first. This is used to display unique values as rows. So if I was to drag the products field into there, you're going to see that it's now listed all of the unique values inside the product field. I can actually do the same for category. So if I was to just drag that there, as you can see, we have all the unique values displayed for category, and it displays it vertically. If you want the values to be displayed horizontally, then you can drag any of the fields into the columns section. Now it's displayed horizontally. I could do the same for product if I want. There you have it. So what the values box does is it allows you to perform calculations on the fields that are inside here. So for example, let me drag product into rows. Then I'm going to drag sales into values. And that's going to show me the total sales for each product. I can also drag, let me just unselect these. I can drag the category into rows and then quantity sold into the values box. And then I'm going to change the calculation to average. Then click OK. And that's going to show me the average number of quantities for each category. If you want to change the calculation used, click on the drop-down icon of the field inside the values box. And then click on value field settings. And then you can scroll up and down to select the type of calculation you want to summarize by. So if I want sum, because it's quantity, let's select count. And then you can give it a custom name if you want. So if I say total quantities sold for each category, or I'll say per category. So you can also filter your data set by just dragging a field of your choice into the filters box. So I'm just going to drag the dates field into the filters box. And then let me just drag that up. And then I can now filter to any date I choose. So if I want to filter the data set to the 1st of Feb, it's doing that. If I want the 7th, it's doing that. Let's select the 9th this time. Or if I want to select multiple dates, so I go to the filter and then select multiple items. I make sure that's ticked. And then I can just select as many dates of my choice. And the data is filtered according to my selection. Let me just unfilter this. So let me remove the filter. Now, if you want to order the columns, what you can do is right click into the value inside the pivot table and then go to sort. And then you have the option of sorting from smallest to largest or largest to smallest. So let's do largest to smallest. And as you can see, all the data is filtered from the highest to the lowest. And you can do vice versa as well. So just go to there. I want to sort from smallest to largest. I have that option too. So what you can do, if you want to insert a slicer in, make sure you go to pivot table analyze. And then under the filter section, click on insert slicer. And let's select category for now. And then click OK. So now we have the option to filter our data based on the category we select. So if I select bakery, it's filtered the data set to bread only. If I select fruits, as you can see, apples, bananas, and oranges are now showing, and so on and so forth. And what you can do, if you want to visualize your data, you can actually create pivot charts. So click into your pivot table and then go to insert, and then you can see pivot chart here. So just click on that. And you have the option to select any visual you want. I think for this, let's try the clustered bar chart or the horizontal bar chart. And then I'm just going to, I'll drag it there. And then, in fact, let's order this from, let's say, smallest to largest. And there you have it. So now let's go through an exercise and actually put this to the test. Let's imagine that we've been hired by a gym, right? And they want to understand their members more. They want to see the revenue patterns across their 5 gym locations. We need to create pivot tables that answer some of the key questions that they have for us. And if we're able to answer those questions, one of the things that leadership can do is they can actually create promotions that are tailored by the different types of memberships they have available. And they can also understand the different age groups that are most active in their gyms. And what else they can do is they can track the different engagement that's taking place within each of their classes based on the location they're in. This will help them a lot. So let's begin creating the pivot tables. So what I'm going to do is to create the first one, I'm just going to select my entire data set and then go to insert and then pivot table. In fact, guys, there is a shortcut for it. Let me show you the shortcut as well. So you select your whole data set and then you hit Alt NVT and then it brings you to the same thing. So Alt NVT. And then once you specify where you want the pivot table to be created, just click OK. And then we're in. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. So the first question we want to ask is, which location brings in the most monthly revenue? So what we want to do is we want to list each location. In fact, let's actually type location with highest monthly revenue, just so that we remember. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to list the different locations we have available. We also want to include the total revenue for each of those locations. So we want to drag location to rows and then the monthly fees field into the values. And then because we're looking for the highest, what we want to do is we want to sort from largest to smallest. And there you have it. So Uptown is the location with the highest monthly revenue. We can highlight it in green. And it's followed by downtown, which we can highlight in yellow. And then perhaps we can drag this here. And then we say, we'll say question 1. So which location has the highest monthly revenue. And then we can also merge and center. There we have it. So the next thing we need to find out is which membership type is the most popular. Okay, so what that's going to do is it's going to tell us the membership type that our members prefer. So once again, let's create our pivot table. Then we're just going to zoom into that. And then we'll type our question in. Which membership type which membership type is the most popular? Then we'll just merge and center. So what we need to do is we need to drag the membership type into rows, and that's going to list all of our membership types. And then we'll drag the member ID into the values, because that's going to count each of the members and it's going to list them under the membership type that they've signed up for. Then the membership type that's the most popular seems to be the basic option, and that's followed by premium. And standard is actually not too far off. But the answer to this question is the basic membership type. So let's name this question 2. So question number 3, which sign-up source is bringing the most members? So let's create our pivot table once again. Then I'll just zoom in a little bit. Now, sign-up source will be dragged into rows and member ID will be dragged into values. So similar process to the other one. So let me just type in the question here. Which sign-up source is bringing in the most members? And then I just merge and center. And then I'm just going to sort this so that it's obvious which is the largest. And our answer is online. So whether that's through websites or social media platforms or other third-party apps, the online method is the most common and it's followed by referrals. So it looks like we need to invest more in winning more members through our online routes. And that's question 3 complete. So question number 4, which age group attends the most classes? So first of all, I'll need to list all the unique age groups that we have available. So that means dragging the age group into the rows section, and then I need to drag the classes attended by month into the values box. And according to this, it looks like, well, actually, let's sort it by largest to smallest once again. According to our data, the 25 to 34 age group are the ones who attend our classes the most, followed by the 18 to 24-year-old age groups or age group. Now, if you want to take this to the next level, you can actually create a chart. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to Insert, and then I can click on Pivot Charts, and then I have the option of choosing between, we'll say a cluster chart. Then we'll name this age group, or rather, let's name this most classes attended by age group. Then let me just zoom out a little bit. We can have it right there. So let's just get rid of that. And there we have it. That's question number 4. Question number 5. How many premium members are there in each location? So what we now need to do is it's going to be a little bit different this time. So of course, we want to find out the unique locations for each of the members. So we'll start with locations, and then we're going to want membership type as the columns so that we have all of the unique membership types across our table. And then finally, we're going to want the count of each of the members. So we want them grouped by location and the membership type. So we're going to drag the member ID column into the values box. And our answers lie right here. So if you want to find out how many premium members are there in each location, this is our answer. So we have, in fact, let's sort this from largest to smallest. So we have 6 in Uptown, 5 in downtown, and in city center, we have 4, and in suburb west, 3, and we have 1 in suburb east. We have a total of 19 members using our premium membership. And if you want to only filter to premium because you don't care about the other memberships, you can just click on the filter under column labels and then simply just select premium and click OK. And there you have it. So that's pretty much part 1 of pivot tables. And the thing I want you to take away is you want to use pivot tables to summarize large data sets quickly. Even though you can use aggregate functions to summarize your data, sometimes it's just easier for you to just use pivot tables, and you can actually show effective insights from your summaries. On top of that, you can add slices to filter your data. You can add pivot charts to visualize some of the pivot tables results, and so on and so forth. But in tomorrow's lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to explore more things we can do with the pivot table. So that brings a wrap to pivot tables part 1. I hope you enjoyed that. Stay blessed.